Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We will be starting our webinar in just a few minutes now. And we're so excited to be chatting everything resiliency with you and really just supporting yourself during this season. Today, we are very lucky to have our speaker, Mrs. Chelsea DeCole. She's here. She's a certified nutritional practitioner, and she's going to be taking us through essentially how to be creating a resiliency plan that matches up for your individual needs. How are you doing this evening, Chelsea?
I'm good. I'm excited that it's officially spring. The days are getting longer. I have some bulbs that are popping up in my yard. It's great.
Oh, I love it. I know I'm starting to see the little tulips come up. It's so like it just brings like a new energy, right?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And even just having longer daylight, seeing that it's
Mm.
getting brighter more in the evening and that it feels like we have more time, that's totally energizing for me.
Yes, yes. So just as we're letting everybody get online and get situated here, if you are just coming on, just get comfy. We'll start in just a moment. But I wanted to ask you, just to kind of get the ball rolling here, since we're talking about resiliency tonight, what are some of your favorite like stress busting activities or like food perhaps, or like what does that look like for you when you're just trying to zen out?
Hmm, that's such a great question. For me, it's a combination of doing things that if I've got like nervous stress energy that I need to get out, doing things that can help with that. So being active, even if it's just going for a walk and breathing in the fresh air, or maybe going for a hike, depending on the weather, those things help to really relieve some of that stress. And then taking care of myself, like you said, with nourishing food. So just making sure that I'm getting everything that I need: protein, some fat, healthy fats, some good carbs. And at night, trying to wind down. So, that stress as it's continuing to affect you throughout the day, it's not necessarily going to stop in the evening unless you try and slow yourself down. So I'm a big bath person. I love baths, and I find that's a really nice way to really help me wind down and relax and help me have a better sleep. What about
That
you?
is that is such a good tip. I mean, all of that are really good tips. I'm seeing some comments from our attendees today. So playing logic games on my phone and listening to music usually helps combat stress. I love that. And I
Oh,
think there's a lot of people that find just even like the rhythmic emotions of some of those games too can just help put us into a calm state. For me, Chelsea, I'm definitely very similar to you. Oh, I love this. Someone is saying they like to take a tea down to the lake. That is literally my like happy medicine. I do that almost every morning. I'm right by the lake here in Ajax, and I love to just go down there with my dog and see the sunrise. And that's such a great way to obviously like set up our circadian rhythm, but also balance out that stress response. But the other thing, if it is like that nervous energy, just like dancing and moving and having those like erratic movements and just kind of like basically thinking like I'm going to get this energy, this negative energy, whatever it is, out of my body. And I find it works really well.
oh, I love it. Love
Yeah.
it. If you,
Yeah.
for
So
those who join, please share more of those ideas, the things that you do that helps with your stress.
yeah, it's so nice because we can really all learn from each other. But I know, Chelsea, this is definitely an area of your specialty. As a
Mm.
nutritionist, I know you've worked with clients as well as different organizations and businesses to really help support them in so many holistic ways. So I'm excited to get into this topic with you. If you are new to attending one of our progressive webinars and perhaps you haven't met Chelsea before, I have a little bit of a bio to just give you a little bit more information on her. So Chelsea is actually not from Ontario. She's tuning in from BC, beautiful, beautiful Okanagan area. And she is a certified nutritional practitioner specializing in the areas of stress management and sleep. So very fitting for tonight's talk. Now, Chelsea, as I mentioned, she's worked with individuals in nutrition and lifestyle coaching and provided education for businesses through corporate wellness, as well as providing holistic chef services. And I can attest, she is a great chef, great recipe ideas, which she has done for personalized in-home nutrition support. Now, Chelsea's passion is to educate and empower individuals to thrive by understanding their unique health needs and really finding that balance through both lifestyle and nutrition. So thank you so much, Chelsea, for leading us through this chat today. For those of you that are on the line, I will be in the chat box ready to help answer as we go. And I'm sure Chelsea will also be answering throughout and perhaps at the end if we have some time. So over to you, Chelsea.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeanette, and welcome everyone. Thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedules to join me today for a little bit of learning. I hope that this is really helpful for you in understanding a little bit more about yourselves and to really be able to create a resiliency plan that works for you. But first, before we can get into building that plan, we really have to think about what may be preventing us from living our best lives. So what are those different areas in life that might be holding you back? Could it be stress? We certainly talked about that a lot to start, and that's usually a big one that affects a lot of people on some level. Hopefully not for your entire life, but it can certainly come in waves where it's more stressful or less stressful. Low energy, how many of you experience that? Sometimes even on a daily basis. I was feeling like I was lagging a little bit this afternoon, just a really busy day, lots of meetings. So what did I do? I don't know, hopefully you can see this with the filter in the camera. I gave myself a nice glass of veggie greens to help give me a little bit of that energy boost. Also, aches and pains. How often is pain or discomfort of some sort really impacting how you can move through your life and some of the things that you want to be able to do, goals that you may be trying to work towards? And of course, digestive issues, which then can cascade into a whole host of other things. And this is actually Jeanette's area of specialty. And this isn't necessarily the full list. These are just some of the major ones that are quite common that people, yourselves included, might be experiencing. Before we go any further, let's really just look at what stress actually is. So it is considered a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from some type of adverse or demanding circumstances. Now, I would also add it's not just mental and emotional, but it's also physical. So stress creates a normal reaction in the body that's physical, intellectual, and emotional responses. And so these sources of stress can be from any of the above. And really, our stress response isn't a bad thing. It's protecting us from danger. But so often now we are experiencing things that aren't necessarily going to cause physical harm for us. So why our body initially wants that stress reaction, but our body, even though it might not be harm from, something coming towards you that could hurt you, or having to run away from an animal chasing you, or whatever the scenario may be, your body might still react in the same way, creating that stress response and creating it over and over if you don't know how to manage your stress. So are you starting to feel a little bit stressed now that I'm talking about stress? Hopefully not, but if you are here to learn about some of this, hopefully the coming slides and information will provide you with a little bit of that support. And if you are feeling stressed, you're not alone. This is really a way of life for a lot of Canadians. So the American Stress Institute found that 77% of people experience stress that affects their physical health, 73% that is impacting their mental health, and 40% of people are having trouble sleeping because of stress. And it's because of how interconnected our bodies are, and it can be such a difficult thing to deal with at times. Now, we have to bear in mind that there are things that we have less influence on in our lives and things that we have more influence on. So there are those outside stressors. This is things relating to the environment, perhaps the health of your family or friends, things like politics, which we won't get into, that we don't really have any influence on. Those are completely external sources that we can only control our response to, not how they are actually coming out and acting themselves out. And then things that we have more influence on, and those are our internal stressors. So things relating to our mental health, our physical health, what we're putting into our body in terms of food and nourishment, and how we're supporting ourselves. So this is where we really have to know the difference between the two, and then to be able to focus on the things that we have control over, that we can influence, and then just try to let the other ones go. So how does it actually look to be providing some of that support? We may not always have control of what's happening around us, but we do have control over how we ourselves respond. So this is where we really look at how we can improve our relationship with stress. And I would also say recognizing what stress actually is for you, because sometimes we don't realize that we're as stressed as we actually are. So this is where that big R word, resilience, comes into play. It's really key in supporting a healthy body and mind that can navigate this constantly changing world. So resilience, in a nutshell, is the capacity to prepare for, recover from, and adapt in the face of stress, adversity, trauma, or any type of challenge. And resilience is really associated with longevity. So there are lower rates of depression and greater satisfaction in life when people are incorporating more resilience in their lives. On the opposite side, a lack of resilience can really hinder our ability to handle stress. And then exposure to chronic stress is associated with a lot of health conditions. So whether it be high blood pressure, anxiety, depressive conditions, sleep disturbances, digestive issues, heart disease, or even a weakened immune system. So when we're thinking about stress and resilience, we really have to look at all of the domains of resilience for our health and wellness, including emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual. Everything is connected here, as you can see from the diagram. Now, how is stress specifically affecting our health? Well, clinical studies have found that elevated cortisol is associated with poor overall cognitive functioning, as well as poor episodic memory, executive functioning, language, spatial memory, processing speed, and social cognition. So this means that living in a stressed out state can make us feel really foggy and unable to think clearly or make sound decisions. Stress also has a really profound impact on our immune system. So there's a very well-established relationship between acute stressors, so those are those very short-term stressors that are physical, psychological, or environmental, and then having a weakened immune response. I think we can all relate. You've experienced a time where you've, say, been really busy with work or with school or demands within your household. And then you have a moment to take a break, say you go on vacation, and that's when a cold or flu or something of that nature strikes. And so that's just that stress, that stressful period of time that's then weakened your immune system. It's made you more vulnerable. And then when you finally let up just a little bit, that's when you get sick. So chronic stress is really leading to our body's inability to regulate our inflammatory response, which is what's necessary for that immune function. So looking at an interesting study, but looking at chronic stress and the common cold, a bunch of volunteers had normal stress hormone levels. Then they were exposed to a common cold virus. 5 days later, they were assessed for signs of the common colds, and those who had more long-term exposure to stress were at a higher risk for developing a cold. So kind of just goes with what I was just saying in terms of that example. The more we're stressing ourselves and for longer, the more likely we're depressing a lot of things and creating some of these issues. So how do we build resilience? Resilience is really like a muscle. It's developed over time. The more you do it, the easier it becomes, the more like a habit it actually is. You could say that building resilience is similar to creating new habits. So it really comes down to mindset, lifestyle hygiene, which includes diet, exercise, as well as stress management techniques, and key supplements and nutrients. So this is really putting all of this together is how we can build resilience to deal with stress better, and then feel like we can live more optimally and really live our best lives. And more interesting research, reducing stress can actually help to boost our immune function. So just like our immune function can be depressed or reduced because of stress, if we are lowering that stress level, then we can actually see our immune function increase. So yoga is a great example of that. I know this is something that's really popular. I personally love to do it. I know Jeanette's also a big fan. So both improved stress and immune markers from doing yoga and incorporating that. Another way to reduce stress and boost immune function, mindfulness. Now, this is certainly something that is being talked about everywhere. And so mindfulness-based stress reduction improves immune function. And I think that goes without saying, but something like mindfulness, meditation, even doing yoga as a regular practice can take time for you to really incorporate that into your routine. So hopefully these are a few ideas that can start percolating, and you can start thinking about how you could fit them into your schedule. Now, we also really have to address the right building blocks. We're going to get more into the lifestyle side of things at the end of the presentation, but let's really start building up and supporting ourselves. So what are some of the main nutrients that we need? Anyone want to take a guess before I move to the next slide? Or Jeanette, you want to start it off for everybody? What do we have?
I see someone throwing in protein, carbs, and fat, so really focusing on those macronutrients. Yeah. I'm going to go more so for the micro. I'm going to say B vitamins.
Yes, so we definitely need the macronutrients. Those are in greater quantity that we need every day. Those we should be getting from our meals, but also micronutrients, which again, we can get from the food that we're eating, but sometimes we need more of them because we are deficient. So vitamins, they're really necessary to support everyday bodily functions. For us to be sitting here together in front of our computer screens. Now, vitamins themselves are not actually supplying our energy to our bodies, but our cells are using them to produce energy. And vitamins are really important for immune system, for vision, for our skin, our nerves, our blood system, bones, digestive system, and for wound healing. So they have a very big job within our body, as do minerals. So on the other side of things, minerals are also supporting our body in overlapping and sometimes in different ways from vitamins. So it could be keeping our bones nice and strong, supporting our immune system, helping with fluid regulation and our nerve functioning, helping to keep our stomach acid at the right level in pH, and even things like our enzyme function within our body. So equally important. And one way we can ensure that we're getting enough of these outside of our regular diet is through multivitamin and superfoods. But the question is often asked, are multivitamins and superfoods even necessary if I eat super well, I make a conscious effort to eat the rainbow, incorporate all the good things? Well, it's a great question to ask. And for some, you might not need as much support, but there is a big difference in having that really optimal lifestyle and then reality. Nobody is perfect. We certainly want to try to stick to the one side of the screen, but the reality is that we can't live that way every single day. I don't even do that as a nutritionist. I live by the 80-20 rule, and I can go into that later in the presentation if there's folks that don't know what that means. But really what it comes down to, especially when we think about the fruits and veggies on our plate, is are we getting enough? Most Canadians are busy. They've got lots going on, and we're not necessarily getting all of the nutrients that we need. We also have to consider things like, where is our food coming from? What is the quality of the soil where the food is being grown? And what is our digestion like? Because where the food's being grown, where it's coming from, how long it takes to get to you, to the store, however you're purchasing that food, how it's being grown, and then how your body's actually using it, are all going to impact what's actually being absorbed. So if everything is working perfectly, then we probably wouldn't really need much in the way of supplementation. But unfortunately, that is not the case. So where do we start? There's a lot that you could really start to move from. I mean, it could feel quite overwhelming. So one really realistic place to begin is with the gut. And why is that? Because that's where all of our food, all of our supplements, water, whatever we may be eating and drinking, it's all going through our gut before it actually gets into the rest of our body. So this is the entry point from the outside world to our own individual inside worlds. So the health of our gut is going to impact greatly the ability for what we can absorb and the nutrients that we are getting from our food as well as our supplements. And this quote I say over and over again because I just love it so much: you are not what you eat, you are what you absorb. Now, certainly if all you're ever eating is takeout and things that are really high in sugar, really fatty, might not be the best for you long term. But it really, at the end of the day, if you don't have great digestion and gut health, everything you're putting into your body might not actually be getting into your body. It might just be passing on through. Now, what are some ways that our gut health can be impacted? This is just an example of a few key areas. I'm sure that you could come up with some more. If you have some ideas, please feel free to share them. Our diet and lifestyle is a huge one. And again, I said no one is perfect, but this is where we do have a lot of that control. The ways we choose to live, the activities that we do, how we shop, all can really have a positive or a negative impact on our gut health. Stress is another big one. We've already talked about this, and stress can really have a negative impact on how our digestive system is functioning. Also, our age and our genetics certainly can play a role. Some of those things we're not necessarily going to have any control over. Dysbiosis, so an imbalance of that good and bad bacteria in the gut, can also really cause some of those gut health issues. And if you have any specific health conditions or take medications, that might also be altering how the gut is functioning. So this is where probiotics can really start to lend a hand. Not everybody's a fan of fermented foods, and either whether it's culturally or you just don't really like the taste or the smell. Also, in terms of quantity, sometimes you would have to consume a heck of a lot more to really get the same value as you do from a probiotic. And probiotics are really just essential and beneficial bacteria that we take in, so we can get probiotics from foods as well as in supplement form. And they are really helping to normalize the microflora within our gastrointestinal tract. And they're helping to promote that favorable gut flora. So making it more of the positive bacteria and less of those bad guys. And those good bacteria have a lot of important functions. So they're really helping to defend against all of those bad bacteria and other pathogens while providing some essential nutrients. There's different vitamins that are actually produced within our gut. It can help to break down substances that are not as digestible, as well as just contributing to the health of the overall gut. And there's so much cool research out there that's ongoing that really highlights the connection between digestion with inflammation, with inhibiting bad bacteria, as well as supporting mood, behavior, and cognition, and supporting immunity. So we just continue to learn more and more, but we know that there's strong connections in all of these areas in particular. So by utilizing probiotics and eating probiotic foods, this is really just going to enhance this whole area. And then you also have prebiotics. So this is something that some people don't know as much about. These are non-digestible carbohydrates. They're providing a source of fuel that is going to help those good bacteria in the gut. So the ones that already live there, as well as all of the good bacteria that are in probiotics. So they're supporting the growth of that beneficial bacteria while also preventing the bad guys from growing and helping with overall gut health. Plus, there's this really cool crosstalk that happens with immune cells, and it helps to improve the health of our intestinal epithelial cells. So there's just a ton of different benefits by adding prebiotics, both within a probiotic, but also, as you can see from the image on the screen, those are just a few examples of some prebiotic foods. So without even realizing it, you may have been providing your gut with some of those prebiotics with some of the foods that you already eat. My favorites are onions and garlic because I use them in my cooking almost every single day. So now looking at our perfect probiotic formulas, they're really providing a full spectrum of support. So everything from the 30 billion, which is maintenance, to specific intestinal support, like the 120. So each of these formulas is really tailored to help individuals. So depending on what your gut needs may be. The 30 billion is just an ongoing maintenance formula. So this is really for anybody who doesn't really have any digestive complaints and is just wanting to kind of keep things at status quo. Has a great number of probiotic strains. There's 10. There's also the prebiotic blend. And the great thing about our formulas is that they're vegan and gluten-free. They've all been DNA tested for all of the strains of bacteria. And most of the formulas are shelf stable. So you can leave them on your counter, throw them in your bag, take them to work, leave them at the office. Makes it a lot easier to remember to take them. The 60 billion is a higher potency daily support. So this is for people who may have the occasional challenge and they just need a little bit more than the maintenance. There's 7 different strains in this formula. And then the 120 is for people who really need a lot of support and help in rebalancing their gut microflora. So if somebody's been on antibiotics, this would probably be a really good one, or somebody who has a lot of gut health issues. And because this is such a high dose, this one does need to go in the fridge. We also have an adult 50 plus formula. So this is for individuals who are over 50 years of age. They're starting to know a few changes in their digestion. And this is really focusing in on the bifidobacterium strain. So this is really just based on a lot of the research out there that's showing that those types of bacteria are more helpful for people who are in that age category. And this formula does not have the prebiotic blend. So unlike all the others that has prebiotics, we've taken this one out for a similar reason. People who are over this age can start to have some difficulty with prebiotic fibers. If you're over this age category and you do want the prebiotics, I would just suggest getting them from your food. We also have a women's formula. So this is designed specifically for the women's microbiome. So there's 10 different strains plus the addition of cranberry. So this is really helpful for people who have recurrent urinary tract infections. There's also the prebiotic blend in this formula and it's shelf stable. And we have 2 kids formulas. So there's a 5 billion chewable tablet. This is for kids that are 3 and above. And it has a prebiotic blend in it and shelf stable. And we have a 15 billion kids powder. So this is great for kids that are a year or older. It's really easy to use. You can add it to yogurt, to just water or juice, throw it in a smoothie, whatever kind of works for your little one. And it provides 15 billion cells. So it's a higher dose, just providing a little extra support. It also has a prebiotic blend, but because this is a powder, it has to be refrigerated. And then just briefly touching on some of the Health Canada claims. So this is really important in understanding more of why you would want to take some of these probiotics. So beyond just normal probiotic claims, so promoting a favorable gut flora and helping to support intestinal health, with our 30, 50 plus 60 and 120 billion formulas, we also have all of these IBS related claims. So if you yourself are an IBS sufferer, or you know somebody who struggles with this would be a wonderful line of products to recommend because of all the ways that it can help to support IBS related symptoms. So it really helps to improve quality of life, reduce and improve abdominal bloating and pain severity, as well as helping to reduce and improve and normalize stools, whether it's diarrhea or constipation, and promote more regularity and improve bowel habits. The women's formula has its own unique set of claims, so supporting intestinal health, promoting a favorable gut flora, providing a source of antioxidants from that wonderful cranberry, and it's also used in herbal medicine to help prevent UTIs and promote a healthy vaginal microflora. And the kids' probiotics have similar claims because of the higher dose of the 15 billion formula. There is an extra claim for supporting respiratory tract health. So this is huge for anyone who has young children that are constantly bringing home infections. They're constantly have a runny nose, they're getting sick, they have a cold. So this is really going to help with that. And even though we are approaching better weather and hopefully less of the viruses rolling around, this is still something that might be necessary at this point. Now, moving beyond probiotics, let's just pause for a moment and think about what your goals are for the rest of 2023. It's spring now, the weather's shifting, we're kind of coming out of the cold and the snow, and we're thinking more about what we can do to optimize our nutrition for the spring and the summer, ways that we can stay really energized and vibrant, and perhaps even achieve a new health goal. So one way we can really amplify a change in our diet or change in activity levels is by supplementing and incorporating functional foods that can really make an impact quickly. So how are we going to get there? We'll consider bioindividuality. So this is considering us each as individuals. We are not one size fits all in terms of how we live our lives and what we put into our bodies. And so we're all unique and we have highly individualized nutritional requirements. So this is why we have all of these different formulas, and we want to provide you with a lot of different options so you can figure out what's going to be best for you, not necessarily best for your partner or someone else in your household or a friend, but what will actually work for you. Now, thinking about multivitamins, they're certainly a very popular supplement. Almost 70% of adults take a multi every day. But of that, how many people are really paying attention to what's in the bottle? Multis really are often referred to as that insurance policy, but not all multivitamins are alike. And shopping for a real insurance policy might actually mirror that of shopping for a multivitamin. Individual needs, your age, and lifestyle factors really all need to be accounted for. And when we think about our diet within Canada, we are actually lacking in adequate amounts of a lot of the essential micronutrients, especially vitamins and minerals. And those are things that we need for maintaining proper energy, as I highlighted some of the functions that vitamins and minerals have. We also have to think about how our requirements change. So we don't stay exactly the same from birth until we are in our older years of life. Our bodies are constantly changing, and our needs and our nutritional requirements also shift depending on where we're at. So what you need is an infant or a child versus an adolescent, a young adult versus someone who's middle-aged or towards the later years of life are all going to need different things. So let's look at a few of those. So there's certainly some sex-specific differences. So differences in fat distribution, as well as the way we metabolize all of our macronutrients, our carbs, our protein, and our fat. So our bodies are just physiologically different. There's also differences depending on if we are more active. So those who are either really active and do a lot of exercise and athletic activities, or people who are just leading stressful lives actually need more nutrients. So increased energy production, greater free radical defense, electrolyte replacement, and maintenance of muscle tone all really elevate your nutritional demands. There's certain things like B vitamins as well as vitamin C that you're going to need in greater quantity. A lot of those get used a lot more quickly and they're water soluble, so our body goes through them faster. So we'll need to have more and replenish often. And then as you get older, looking into later adulthood, there are some things that can also shift for you. So changes to vitamin D levels, magnesium, and carotenoids, as well as thinking about anemia. And these are things that can shift because of how our body is physically changing, as well as a decrease in appetite. Perhaps dietary habits have changed and you don't eat as much or the same type of foods that are as nutrient dense. So this is where we can look at some of Progressive's multivitamin formulas. So they are age specific because we know our needs change as we age. They're also sex specific, so considering different ratios of vitamins, minerals, and herbal extracts to meet unique requirements depending on if you're male or female, as well as things that are specific for people who do more activity or have that more stressful life. And Progressive Multis are also a divided dose. So you're going to get the most out of them by taking them 3 times a day. By eating smaller, more frequent meals, your body can actually absorb nutrients better from your food. So instead of just having 1 meal a day, actually sitting down and having 3. And that principle also applies to your vitamins and minerals and supplements. So those water-soluble vitamins especially are going to get moved through your body really quickly. So if you pack a huge dose, your body might not actually take all of that and benefit from it at that time. Whereas if it's divided out, then you can utilize more of that. There's also support nutrients like extra antioxidants, botanical ingredients, and green food concentrates. So these are all in addition to the vitamins and minerals in the formulas. So looking at them one by one, we have the adult multi and vitamin and mineral formulas. So these actually are capsule and chewable format. So depending on what Healthy Planet has in stock, and they really feature a unique combination of phytonutrients and antioxidants, along with herbal extracts and green food concentrates, with those support ingredients that are specific for each sex. So the women's formula is going to have more iron, cranberry, and other herbal extracts that are going to be helpful for women. The men's is going to have things like saw palmetto and lycopene that are going to be helpful for men and some of their unique needs. So providing antioxidant support, vision health, supporting immune function, as well as the development and maintenance of bones and teeth, and providing an overall factor in the maintenance of good health. And as I mentioned, they are 3 a day. So it's easiest to just take them with a meal. If you leave the bottle somewhere where you eat, either on your dining table, in the kitchen, where you prepare your food, you're more likely to remember to take it. I literally use one of those little pill containers from the pharmacy, and that way I remember to take all my supplements when I need to take them. Now, the active formulas have added support to improve energy, accelerate recovery, and combat stress. This includes added antioxidants, beta carotene, vitamin E, CoQ10, along with some important minerals like selenium and zinc. There's also added green food concentrates that are really going to provide that little bit extra support. They are in a vegetarian capsule and are going to help with normal electrolyte balance, protecting against oxidative damage, helping with energy production, and helping to reduce tiredness and fatigue caused by iron deficiency. And as I shared, they are 1 capsule 3 a day, preferably with your meals. Now, when we move into the 50 plus formulas, there are high doses of key nutrients for outstanding support over 50. So things for healthy vision and bones, as well as energy production and immune support. So things to support blood pressure and cholesterol like CoQ10, niacin, choline, inositol, as well as some antioxidants. And highly absorbable calcium, which is balanced with magnesium. So these are things that are really important for people within this age category. So helping in the development and maintenance of those bones, helping in energy production, provitamin A for eyesight, as well as immune function, maintaining proper muscle function, especially the heart muscle, as well as helping with normal production of thyroid hormones. And it's 1 capsule with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then also we've got the prenatal. So this is for anybody who is thinking about conceiving or who is pregnant or breastfeeding. So having those really key nutrients for early pregnancy, so folic acid and DHA. And everything has been fully investigated and rigorously tested to make sure that this supplement is providing a really good foundation for baby and peace of mind for mom. This is in a vegetarian capsule also. And one of the biggest health claims is helping to reduce the risk of neural tube defects when taken prior to becoming pregnant and during early pregnancy. So that's a really important one to keep in mind. And this is 1 capsule 3 times a day. There's also ginger and cranberry specific for women's health support and those healthy fats, which are also important in that early fetal development stage. And then lastly, the children's chewable. So this is definitely a favorite amongst a lot of kids. It includes vegetable and green foods, as well as whole food concentrates and the minerals in citrate form, plus D3, flax, and DHA. So really providing all the nutrients that a kid needs to grow well. It's a really kid-friendly orange flavor, and it's a chewable tablet, and it's going to support all the areas of a growing child. So immune function, muscle function, eyesight, development and maintenance of bones, cartilage, teeth, and gums, as well as providing a source of antioxidants. And the dosing will differ depending on the age of the child. This is obviously for kids that are old enough that they can chew without having a choking hazard. So for some kids, it'll be 1 tablet twice a day. For others, it will be 2. Now we have to consider beyond just some of that foundation to really achieve that optimized health and to achieve those goals that you're seeking out for 2023. So this is where superfoods can come in really handy. They've got a high nutritional density. They contain a high volume of minerals, vitamins, and antioxidants. So let's take a closer look at antioxidants and what they're actually good for. So they're supporting the body and helping to counteract the negative effects of stress. The main effect of stress is that it's increasing the production of free radicals. And then these free radicals are causing oxidative stress and cellular damage within the body. But antioxidants really help to reduce that free radical damage within the body. And current research really shows that they can provide anti-inflammatory, cardioprotective, and neuroprotective effects. So supporting the inflammatory response in our whole body, as well as supporting the heart and our cardiovascular system and our brain. But what's causing free radicals? Just like there's a lot of things that can cause stress in our lives or cause digestive upset and gut health issues, there are a lot of things that can cause free radicals. Some of them we have control over, some of them we don't. So this is where maintaining an antioxidant balance can reduce the damage caused by free radicals that are coming at us from chronic stress, from excessive alcohol intake, from excessive charred food intake, from pollutants that are coming at us from every direction, especially through the environment, like the air, things like radiation exposure, and smoke inhalation. So that could be from any type of cigarette or even automobile exhaust. So as I mentioned, that oxidative stress has a really negative impact on our body. It can actually increase our aging, and it's also associated with a lot of age-related chronic conditions. So heart health, eye health, inflammation, cognitive health. You can kind of see a pattern here from what I was sharing on the previous slide. So as I said, maintaining an antioxidant balance can reduce the damage caused by free radicals. So this is where we want to just incorporate more antioxidants into our lives. So dietarily and in supplement form. So this is how we can fill the nutrient gaps with green foods. So green foods like barley grass, alfalfa, wheatgrass, spinach, and parsley are actually green in color, and they provide high levels of vitamins and minerals along with a whole bunch of phytonutrients. You also have land vegetables. So things like beetroot, carrot, and celery are also really rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants and provide us with a ton of fiber. And cruciferous vegetable, they're a special category all by themselves. Some people love them, some people hate them. I'm a huge fan. But perhaps if you're a cruciferous veg hater, then veggie greens might be a great option for you, which I'll be getting to in just a moment. So cruciferous vegetables include broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, watercress, just to name a few. And they have a really rich sulfur-containing compound that does wonders for our body as really powerful antioxidant, really important for our liver health. And then we have aquatic greens. So these are unique because they have trace minerals that we don't really, and other trace ingredients that we don't really find elsewhere in the world. So chlorella, dulse, and nori are a few examples, and they're providing vitamins and minerals as well as fiber and antioxidants. Chlorella is also really high in protein and chlorophyll. Dulse is also high in chlorophyll, as well as another protein compound that has anti-inflammatory activity. And nori is an excellent source of vitamin B12. Red algae also contains a substantial amount, and so this is an excellent source of vegan B12. So these are things that we aren't necessarily just going to reach for and add to our plate every single day unless you're from certain cultures who consume those foods regularly. So this is where veggie greens is such a wonderful option because it has 8 distinctive blends of green foods and plant extracts. So it's literally covering the rainbow of vegetable colors and providing a lot of unique nutrient profiles with all of those individual ingredients. So rare trace minerals from those sea vegetables, as well as the compounds found in cruciferous vegetable that provide so much benefit. Now there's multiple flavors to choose from. Hopefully we have a few veggie greens fans already. And if you're not a fan yet, that I can convince you that this is definitely a wonderful ad. This is what I have in my glass right here, as I mentioned at the front end of the presentation. And I have the pineapple coconut flavor. I think Jeanette had the same. She was also drinking some. Great minds think alike. But there's also unflavored blueberry medley and cucumber mint, although we will be bringing out another flavor, hopefully sometime soon. This is a great way to get your veggies. So getting those land, sea, and cruciferous vegetables, providing a lot of those green foods, plant oils, phytonutrients, herbals, extracts, and botanicals, and it dissolves super easily. Just give a little stir with a spoon or shake it up, and it's naturally flavored and sweetened. It honestly tastes better than any greens powder I've ever had, and it's a simple add to just water. You can add it to your smoothies, cold beverage of whatever you might like. So you can add it to another juice or other beverage, but my go-to is either water or I just toss it in my smoothie with everything else. Now we have to continue moving forward and think about support for our immunity that's really going to help improve resilience. So you remember that I talked a little bit about our immune system, how it gets compromised by stress. So if you know that you are a overly stressed individual, if you're just in that period of life where things are just really stressful, then this is something for you to consider. Vitamin C is a really essential vitamin for a lot of functions in our body, and it's one of the most popular immune supplements for many good reasons. So what is it actually doing in our body? It's supporting a lot of cellular functions. It's also helping to support cells form a barrier against bacteria and viruses. So it's almost directly helping to fight off bacteria and viruses. And it's used by immune cells for microbial killing. So it's doing a lot to really help our body fight off those infections when we get them. And when we have a vitamin C deficiency, it's going to impair our immunity, and we're going to actually become more susceptible to infections. Plus, when we get ill, because of all that work that vitamin C is doing with all of those immune cells, we actually need more of it during infection. So if your natural inclination is to consume more citrus and reach for that supplement of vitamin C when you start to feel like you're on the verge of a cold or you're in the midst of it, you're on the right track. So it can be used preventatively and to ensure that we have adequate levels. So it's great to use symptomatically, but you can also just use it in order to make sure that you're maintaining that important higher level of vitamin C. So Progressive has a vitamin C complex. So this has been formulated to really help your body get optimal absorption and get the full benefit of all of the antioxidant of the formula. So there's 7 different vitamin sources, 8 fruit extracts, along with 9 other support nutrients. So there is isolated sources of vitamin C. That's helping to increase the potency. Plus you're getting those whole food sources. So it's really that perfect balance of everything, and also the bioavailability. We also have some plant-based digestive support added. That's in the form of papaya and black pepper extract. And this is really helping with absorption and just enhancing a lot of the properties within the ingredients of the formula. So it's full spectrum, provides a multi-sourced vitamin C, has those complementary nutrients. So there's 600 milligrams of the vitamin C, along with antioxidants like hesperidin, quercetin, grapeseed extract, bilberry, resveratrol, alpha-lipoic acid. There's also papaya, Indian gooseberry, blueberry, cranberry, acerola cherry, and elderberry and mango. And some rutin, aloe vera, and that black pepper, the piperine. So it's providing a total of 1,200 milligrams of the most bioavailable non-acidic vitamin C that you can get per capsule. And it's formulated with mineral ascorbates for optimal absorption. So it's suggested to take 1 capsule with breakfast and 1 with dinner to really get the most benefit from it. And vitamin C is actually the water-soluble vitamin that gets processed through the body the fastest. So within 4 hours, your body's used it and it's on its way out. So this again really highlights how dosing more frequently can really give you the maximum benefit of it. But we also need to consider what other things might help with our immunity. So we've talked about probiotics already, multivitamins, which can provide an overall support, vitamin C specifically. What else could we possibly need to support immunity? There are some other nutrients. So beta glucans might not be something that you're as familiar with. So what are they? They are special polysaccharides. So these are found in the cell walls of mushrooms and yeasts. So a really common yeast is the Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So this is found in brewer's yeast. And they're part of this biologically active group of molecules. And they're really gaining attention because they're small, but they're mighty. And they act as a really important immunomodulator. So they're helping your immune system to either be pumped up or pump the brakes and slow it down a little bit. So immunomodulators like herbs and mushrooms really impact our immune system. So they can alter how our immune functions based on whatever we need. So this again is where it's going to help me perhaps differently than what it might help you. So it can either upregulate or downregulate our immune system as that's whatever is needed. And also can help to stimulate macrophages, natural killer cells, enhance production of antibodies, and then help with the immune response. So doing a lot to really help even further bolster our immune system. So Progressive Immuno Daily doesn't just include beta glucans, it also has vitamin C with those ascorbate forms that's going to be really highly absorbable, and zinc, which is another important mineral that we need in very small amounts within our body, but we need every day and we're often deficient in. And it's a big one for immune support. So this is really going to support immune function, provide antioxidants, and be a factor in the maintenance of good health. So this is a daily support for the immune system. So this is something that you could consider if you're going through that period of stress. You know that your immune system has been on the lower side, you've been getting colds and flus more often. This might really help to provide that additional support. So this is 2 capsules daily with a meal. And it is recommended to consult a healthcare practitioner beyond use of it for 12 weeks, but certainly for short-term periods, if you're in the midst of that stress, or when it's still, it still feels like it's cold and flu season, this can really provide that extra support. Now, there's one other nutrient that's really important for resiliency, regardless of age, but certainly as we get older, this one is also important. It's collagen. So this collagen is really helping me to be sitting upright in front of you right now, in front of my camera that's translating to you. And now collagen is a very hard, insoluble, fibrous protein. So it is a great source of protein, and it makes up 1/3 of the protein within our body. And what's really cool about it is it packs into these tiny little thin fibrils in these long, long strands. Now, there's about 28 types of collagen that have been discovered thus far, but for us as human beings, 80 to 90% of what's in our bodies are type 1, type 2, and type 3. So that's why you find those types most often when you're out collagen shopping. So as I mentioned, collagen represents 30% of the body's dry weight, and it's the most abundant protein in the body. It's very important from a structural perspective because it's found in our connective tissue, our skin, our tendons, our bones, our cartilage, and even gelatinous substances like the vitreous in our eye. So it's really essential for mechanical resistance. And as I said, because it's so structural, it's literally helping me to stay upright right now because it's in my skin, it's in my bones, in my connective tissue. But collagen production declines with age. So after the age of 20 to 25, we start to see it decrease, and then it decreases faster as we get older. So this is often why we have people reaching for it for the beauty benefits that collagen provides, but also for the structural bone and joint related benefits. So arthritis is becoming more common. Approximately 3.9 million Canadians over 20 years of age are living with diagnosed osteoarthritis. That's a staggering number when you think about it. And that's people over the age of 20. So that's not even the demographic that you typically think of. And studies have shown the benefits of using collagen supplementation for support and treatment of arthritis-related symptoms. So this is a really effective way of helping with any type of arthritis, particularly osteoarthritis. But it's important to note that not all collagen supplements are created equal. Sourcing and the way that collagen has been formulated really is important, and it makes a big difference in terms of how our body utilizes it. So this is where, when looking for collagen, looking at the form that it's in is important. So collagen molecules by themselves are too large to really get through the body and be absorbed. So hydrolyzation helps to break down the collagen into those smaller molecular weight fragments to enhance the absorption. And hydrolyzed collagen has been shown in research to have that very therapeutic role for osteoporosis. So as we see that our bones are losing their density, as well as osteoarthritis, as I just mentioned, and then for a lot of skin, hair, nails benefits. Now, looking at the product that I'm focusing on today, this is really focused for joint health. So this is a fast-acting collagen multi-source complex. So there's types 1, 3, 5, and 10 in this, and it's coming from cow, from fish, and chicken sources in a convenient vegetarian capsule. So what's making it fast-acting collagen, and why is it so complete? Well, it's 3 different forms of collagen, so different animal sources, as well as having a really comprehensive profile. So offering 4 different collagen types. So you're getting the benefit of all of those. And it's really helping to reduce joint pain and stiffness, helping to relieve stiffness associated with chronic joint pain, helping to support health by reducing joint pain and stiffness, and helping to reduce joint pain, particularly when we look at knee osteoarthritis, in as early as 5 days. So by providing therapeutic levels of these 3 types of collagen, this is how we are really being able to achieve those 5-day pain relief claims. So suggested dose is 3 capsules daily, and it's best to use it for a minimum of 1 month to see the full benefit. So now we've covered a lot. Hopefully you don't have information overload right now. This is the time where we can really piece it all together and create our resiliency plan. And this is where looking at some of those lifestyles in factors in combination with what we've discussed from supplementation can really provide that optimal health. So what is on your must-do list every day? This is where I would love to hear from all of you in terms of what you think works best for you when you think about your lifestyle and perhaps even some of the supplements that you take daily. So I'm going to pause here and just let everybody chime in. I'll start by sharing some of the things that I do as a nutritionist. So from that lifestyle perspective, I talked a little bit about things that can help me to manage some of my stress load, getting outside, moving my body, breathing fresh air, getting sunlight exposure, nourishing myself well. So the next slide really highlights that. Eating a well-balanced diet. So this is ensuring that if you literally look at a plate, that 50% or more is fruits and vegetables at every single meal, which I know can be hard, particularly depending on how you eat breakfast. Having adequate amounts of protein, this is really huge for me. And then choosing whole grain foods as well as healthy fats is the only thing missing from this diagram, which I think Health Canada needs to adjust. And then having water as maybe your first go-to for a beverage before you reach for something else. Now I see a bunch of people bringing in some of their suggestions. Breathing exercises, jogging, no sugar. I get out for a walk at lunch every day. That is amazing. I love that. I have a dog now. I just got a puppy a few months ago. So she is helping me to make sure that I have to take all those breaks as I should. Daily meditation, so wonderful. Omega-3 liquid, probiotics, collagen, check, check, check. I love it. Bone broth too. These are such wonderful suggestions and great ads to really help enhance your daily life. So I mentioned water. It deserves its own slide because hydration is really important. And 33% of people are not properly hydrated. So we should be getting at minimum 2 liters of water a day, ideally 3 to 4. And when you think about where you live, even in the winter, you need to be continuing to hydrate yourself well. If you got your furnace going all the time, you probably are getting dehydrated without even realizing it. And there's a lot of symptoms that we can experience that we might not even realize that we've got maybe some fatigue or a headache, and it's related to our hydration status first. And if we just reach for another glass of water, that might help to solve that problem. Stress management, we've talked about a little bit. This is going to be really huge just because stress bleeds out into every other aspect of our lives. So trying to find a way to take a break for yourself. I know that that's not always easy, particularly if you have a lot on the go, a demanding job, if you have a family, whatever your life circumstances may be. But finding even a 5-minute window where you can just take a moment for yourself can really go a long way. Making time for your hobbies, doing things that bring you joy. I think that we often get so stuck in the grind that we forget that we need to give ourselves moments for joy. Practicing gratitude. So whatever that might look like, it could be journaling, it could be writing a text, a letter, maybe calling somebody to share some of your gratitude, and thinking about things that you're grateful for. So it doesn't need to be written out, but even if you just make a mental note of that, it can really change your mindset and perspective. And breathing. We forget to breathe. I'm talking so much, I might not be breathing enough. But it's something that is accessible to all of us. So you can take that 5-minute break and maybe just spend it taking some deep breaths. You can do what's called box breathing. If you've never heard of that, it's where you breathe in for 4 seconds, nice and slowly. You hold for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, hold that, and you just repeat. And it's a really great way to help manage your nervous system and to really move your body from being in that fight or flight mode to that rest and digest mode. And what I could talk about all night long is sleep hygiene. So this is a very important aspect of our health, just like stress management, diet, lifestyle factors. Sleep hygiene is really, really critical to giving our body and our mind a break and allowing our body to do the work that it needs to while we're at rest. If we're sleeping shorter amounts, then it's less time for our body to do all of that recharging, rebuilding, rejuvenating. So try to keep a bedtime routine where you go to bed and you wake up around the same time. Again, I understand life, it's not necessarily realistic depending on your life situation, but trying to have some normalcy, even if it's within like an hour window. Exercising daily, getting out preferably in the morning, as Jeanette shared, helping to reset that circadian rhythm by getting early morning or at least morning daylight exposure. So if you're not a morning person, even if you can get out before noon and put your face outside, and also not exercising too close to bedtime, just because that it can increase cortisol levels. It can cause you to just be more stimulated and then to not be able to fall asleep as quickly. Don't have long naps. I know they might feel great. I'm personally not a napper, so I have no idea what that feels like, but long naps can actually do a detriment and can make it a bit harder for you at night. So try to keep them less than half an hour. Even if you can just get through one short cycle of sleep, that can help to significantly rejuvenate you. Don't have caffeine in the second half of the day. I know this is a tough one. Most people are probably saying, nope, I can't do it. But if you know that you are affected by caffeine, like myself, I make a very conscious effort to only have some caffeine in the morning, unless I know I plan on staying up a little bit later. Take some time to wind down before bed. How many people actually do this? I try, even though it's my area of expertise. Like I said, I'm not perfect, doesn't happen all the time, but I see significant improvement in my sleep and being able to fall asleep if I give myself that time to have that evening routine. White noise can be really helpful, whether it's just a fan that's going or some type of white noise machine. You can even buy built-in ones where it's like headphones with an eye mask, and then you can sync it to your smartphone and have whatever you want playing in there. Sleep masks make a world of difference in helping keep your room and the light out. Having a dark room, also really important. If you can't sleep, get out of bed if more than about 20 minutes has gone, 30 minutes has gone by. Go to another room, turn on a dim light, perhaps read a book for a little bit. When you start to feel sleepy again, then go back to bed. Laying in bed fully awake for hours is not really being productive. And lastly, keep the bedroom for intimacy and sleep only. So I know this is a tough one. A lot of people have televisions in their bedrooms, but if you can at least not turn it on when you're going, just before you're going to bed, that also can be really helpful for setting yourself up for really good sleep. So looking at all of that lifestyle component, and then a reminder of what your resiliency toolkit can look like. So if you're an average adult, anywhere from your 20s to your 50s or so, these are some of the supplements that can really help build your resiliency up, and having these in your toolkit can make a real difference. If you're over 50, these are a few, just some of it overlaps, but some of it is looking specifically at things that are appropriate for somebody over 50 years of age, like the multi and the probiotic. And for your kids, so anyone who has a child in their life, they also need that support, especially because their bodies are still growing. So a multi and a probiotic really going to help kids have the best start possible. So that concludes the webinar. I just wanted to thank you again for spending some time with me. Also wanted to open it up for any other questions. I know Jeanette has been busy answering questions in the Q&A and the chat. And just a little mention, there is a special offer through Healthy Planet for my favorite veggie greens. So if you buy one of the larger size, which is a 2-month supply, you get a small 1-month supply of the blueberry flavor for free. So definitely take advantage of that if you know you're already a veggie greens fan. And if you're not, perhaps this is a great opportunity for you to branch out and to get an even better deal. So I'm just gonna open up the chat and the Q&A and see what questions there are. So is the fast-acting collagen good for osteoporosis? Well, in terms of the actual Health Canada claims, we don't have a claim that's specific to osteoporosis. But what we do know from research, and one of the slides that I shared, there has been a lot of research done to show that collagen supplements in general can be helpful for people who have osteoporosis. So it may provide a benefit. This product in particular, the fast-acting collagen, doesn't have that as a direct claim. And let's see, is there anything in the chat?
Hey, Chels.
Yeah.
We've had great feedback so far. I sent you a couple key questions that I answered in the private chat, but I thought it might be nice for you to address also for the whole team that's online.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if you see those. I can read it out to you though.
Sure.
The first one comes to us from a gentleman, and he is citing just a lot of stress, and still with COVID circling around, they are curious about your recommendation for ideal dosages of vitamin B, C, and D. What is the max dose that they can take, and are there other specific vitamins you would recommend? Example, CoQ10.
Ooh, okay, that is a big question. In terms of dosing, I don't have like what the Health Canada guidelines are on the top of my head for B, for C, and vitamin D. But we do know in terms of vitamin D that a lot of Canadians are deficient. We definitely need more of it in the winter. We're not quite there yet for getting a lot of that sun exposure and getting vitamin D that way. So a lot of people will supplement with 1,000. Now, we have come out in other product line with higher dose, so 2,500 IU is available in a lot of products out there now, because Health Canada changed their guidelines. So you could take 2,500. I mean, honestly, for myself, I take 5,000 in the winter pretty consistently. So you can take a higher amount safely as long as you don't have any health concerns. This is something you can always discuss with your healthcare practitioner. For vitamin C, I mean, you can go really high with it, but you might end up with diarrhea if you dose too much all at one time. And honestly, your body from a oral vitamin C supplementation perspective can only absorb so much. If you have an IV with vitamin C, that's a different story. But if you're taking it orally, you don't really want to exceed doses of 1,000 milligrams at a time. Otherwise, you're not going to get the benefit of it. What I would suggest instead is maybe taking 500 milligrams and dosing it every 4 hours instead. And you're likely going to absorb more of it that way than taking one really big dose just once. For B vitamins, I like suggesting if you're going to take a complex versus what you get in a multivitamin. Again, these are water soluble, so your body's only going to absorb so much. So 50 to 100, and that's where you could just dose it more often if you're wanting to get more. So instead of taking a really high dose all at once, spread it out. Make sure you're having a bit of food with vitamin B, any of the B vitamins, because it can cause nausea on an empty stomach. And I know this from experience. It's not fun. So those would be my suggestions. I don't have a CoQ10 dose on the top of my head. I'm sorry. Jeanette, I don't know if you have anything readily available to you, or if you've got one in your head as a nutritionist.
No, essentially, what I responded to this particular attendee is that for so many, and we did actually have one person comment in the chat about getting a blood test, especially for vitamin D, but you can do this for all micronutrients as well. So depending on, your coverage with your, either if it's your extended health plan, if you're going through OHIP, I know OHIP only covers a small amount of those. But like CoQ10 is a nice idea, but it's not necessarily for everyone. So that's why we always recommend, working with a healthcare practitioner, really understanding your personal needs and what's showing up to you as far as your symptoms that are then related back to stress, because your symptoms, these are messages, right? Messages that we need to be listening to be able to understand, how to be able to support you specifically.
Absolutely. Great points. You said there was a couple of other questions you wanted me to highlight?
Sure. Let me scroll up here. I'm having a chat right now with one of our attendees. We're really speaking about leveling out triglyceride levels, and so she mentioned the lecithin that's in veggie greens. And so yes, right, we know lecithin can be used as an individual supplement to help with triglycerides. I was just in the middle of answering her question here, but Chelsea, I'll throw it over to you. Any key ways to be helping to level out triglyceride levels?
I would think, looking from a lifestyle perspective, analyzing what you're eating, what your diet looks like, and perhaps making some adjustments there. Trying to not exclude fatty foods altogether, but thinking about what some of the fats are that you might be consuming, as well as incorporating more fiber into your diet. If you're able to increase your activity as well. Those are just some natural, very practical lifestyle things that I would consider when thinking about wanting to make an adjustment like that. Jeanette, anything you would add?
Those are essentially the key ones. Yes, ensuring we're having adequate fiber, water intake, and then kind of going back to that diagram that you shared earlier on, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not too complicated, but I know it can feel like a bit of a stretch when you are dealing with, health issues as these arise. But yeah, you gave some great options there.
And we've had a lot of people asking about sending the recording, and perhaps Jill can just pipe in to confirm that Healthy Planet will send the recording to anyone who registered. I think she'll be able to comment in the chat. Or Jeanette, I believe so, but I don't want to misspeak. Yes, so the recording will be sent out via email to everybody who registered. So even folks that are now watching this that didn't have the opportunity to join us live, they'll still get all the benefit, including this Q&A period at the end. Wonderful. Any other questions before I say good evening to all of you? I just want to say thanks again, and thank you, Jeanette, for being on here this evening and helping to answer all of the questions and providing your wealth of knowledge. It's always appreciated. We're all working together as a team here. So thanks again, everyone. And make sure you go to Healthy Planet and take advantage of, there'll be some other sales on Progressive. So make sure you either go online or go in store and take advantage and hopefully purchase some of the things that we talked about and put that into your resiliency plan.
Thanks so much, Chelsea.
Thanks. Have a great night, everybody. Bye.